In the year 351 AD, the Roman Empire was a vast entity teetering on the brink of chaos. Political rivalries and military struggles threatened its unity. It was in this turbulent backdrop that the Battle of Cibalae would unfold, a clash between two formidable foes that would echo through history. On one side stood the Emperor Constantius II, a staunch supporter of Arian Christianity, intent on consolidating his power and stamping out opposition. Opposing him was his cousin, the ambitious usurper Magnentius, who had garnered support from various factions disillusioned with Constantius's rule. Both men understood that control over the Roman Empire hinged on this impending confrontation. The location chosen for their struggle was Cibalae, in present-day Croatia, a site of strategic importance that lay on a vital trade route. As the sun rose on the morning of September 8, the air crackled with tension. Soldiers from both sides lined up, their armor glinting in the morning light, banners flapping ominously in the breeze. Constantius, known for his strategic prowess, positioned his forces with care. He commanded a smaller but well-trained army, comprised mainly of veterans who had fought under him in previous campaigns. His generals, seasoned and loyal, believed in his vision for the empire, but they also knew that Magnentius's forces were larger and perhaps more motivated. Magnentius, having rallied his troops with fervent speeches about freedom from tyranny, felt a surge of confidence. His army, a mix of loyal soldiers and enthusiastic supporters, swelled with the promise of victory. They were invigorated by their leader's charisma and the belief that they fought not just for power, but for a new dawn in Roman governance. As the two armies faced each other, the atmosphere grew heavy. The air smelled of sweat and anticipation. Constantius, atop his steed, raised his sword and shouted commands to his men, reminding them of their duty to the empire and their faith. His soldiers responded with a roar, their spirits momentarily lifted. Magnentius, not to be outdone, stood before his own troops, rallying them with promises of glory. Today, he bellowed, we reclaim our dignity. We will fight not just for our lives but for the future of Rome. The first clash came like a thunderclap. The forces met with a ferocity that startled the birds from the trees. Metal clanged against metal as soldiers thrust their swords and hurled their javelins. The sound of battle filled the air, punctuated by the cries of men and the thud of bodies falling to the ground. Both commanders observed the chaos unfolding before them, calculating the tides of war. Constantius sought to create a flanking maneuver, directing his elite cavalry to outmaneuver Magnentius's right flank. In response, Magnentius ordered his infantry to form a tighter shield wall, holding their ground against the relentless assault. As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn. Magnentius, sensing an opportunity, committed more of his reserves into the fray, pushing back Constantius's forces with a renewed vigor. The ground became a tableau of chaos, soldiers fought bravely, but the numbers began to weigh heavily against Constantius. Realizing the precariousness of his position, Constantius made a bold decision. He sent a contingent of his best troops to launch a surprise attack on the left flank of Magnentius, hoping to split his forces. It was a gamble, but in war, fortune favored the bold. As the selected troops charged, they caught the opposing side off guard, creating a momentary ripple in the tide of battle. The surprise attack reinvigorated Constantius's men, who pushed back with newfound strength. The cries of "For Rome" echoed across the battlefield. But the victory was short-lived. Magnentius quickly rallied his forces, shouting commands and urging them to resist. The lines blurred as the battle became a brutal melee, with neither side willing to yield. Hours passed, and the sun began its descent. The battlefield, once a vibrant expanse, was now a morass of mud and blood. The weariness in the soldiers' limbs was palpable. Constantius, though exhausted, refused to relent. He was determined to win this battle that would define his reign. Just when it seemed the battle might end in a stalemate, an unexpected turn of fate emerged. A fierce storm rolled in from the west, dark clouds swirling ominously overhead. As rain began to pour, visibility dropped, and the ground turned slippery. The soldiers struggled to maintain their footing, and the battle devolved into chaos. Confusion reigned as men lost sight of their commanders, and lines blurred further. In the chaos, a chance encounter unfolded. Constantius found himself face to face with Magnentius amid the turmoil. The two cousins, once allies in their youth, locked eyes, each recognizing the other as a mirror of ambition. With a battle-weary roar, they clashed swords in a fierce duel, each strike echoing the weight of their respective fates. But the storm had other plans. A bolt of lightning struck nearby, causing both men to stumble. Seizing the moment, Constantius drove forward, pushing Magnentius back. With one final, desperate thrust, he struck Magnentius's side, a mortal wound that echoed across the battlefield. As Magnentius fell, his army's morale plummeted. The chaos of the storm and the loss of their leader became too much to bear. Constantius's forces surged forward, pressing the advantage. Within hours, the battle concluded with Constantius emerging as the victor, but at a heavy cost. In the aftermath, the battlefield lay silent, shrouded in the mist of the storm. The price of victory weighed heavily on Constantius's heart. He had secured his position as emperor, but the bloodshed had left scars that would never heal. The echoes of Cibalae would resonate through time, a reminder of the cost of ambition and the fickle nature of power. As Constantius gazed over the remnants of the battlefield, he understood that unity was the only way to ensure the survival of the empire. The true battle would not end on the field, it would continue in the hearts and minds of the people he was destined to rule. The story of Cibalae would become a chapter in the grand saga of Rome, a lesson in the balance of power and the fragile threads that held the empire together. So that's happened on October this month. Thank you for watching.